Well, okay. Um, Here we go today. We're going to be talking about Exodus chapter 6, verse 2 through all the way to the end of chapter 9 of Exodus. So we're not going to cover all the details that's in there. I just want to cover a couple small things about it. It's called Parashah Vayehi, and uh, and so the portion is the calling of Moses into that relationship, right? For those of you that have seen the Ten Commandments, and uh, the Prince of Egypt, comes, before the Ten Commandments. But I know there's people out there that don't have an idea what we're talking about. So I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of a reference. Joseph is born. That's the Prince of Egypt Disney movie, and then some hundreds of years later, this man is born named Moses, who was in Egypt by all intents and purposes, was a citizen of Egypt and operated in the government of Egypt as one of the higher ups, and it has a situation which causes him to have to leave Egypt, and now he's in the desert being a shepherd. While he's being a shepherd, he sees a phenomena that he's never seen before, and it causes curiosity. So he takes a stop and takes a look, and this is where we pick up the story. And so what happens? What happens is that he's looking at a bush in the desert that is on fire, but the fire is not burning the bush. It's not eating it up. So he says to himself, "It's a curious situation. Let me take a quick look." And so the narrative goes like this. Well, not the narrative, but rather the story goes like this. And so Elohim spoke to Moses and said, "I am that I am. I am who I will be." And I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are people that you've heard of, but you have not met them so personally. And they knew me by a different name. So he says to Moses, "I am that I am. I am that I will be." He says, "That's my name." But they didn't know me by this name. So watch this. He says, "So by the name El Shaddai, they knew me, but not by my proper name. And however, I set up a covenant with them when they were sojourning, when they were walking, when all three of these men had at different times in their life, because there's a father, son, and the son of a son, right? So that would be Jacob, his father, and then his grandfather. And so he said, I made a covenant with all three of those guys that I was going to give them the essence of the land that is now in possession by these people called the Canaanites. And the word Canaanite, Canaani, is merchant. So at this point, the language becomes very technical and it becomes very contractual. And this is important to know. Before we go into that, I want to stop shortly and just stick to the first couple of verses, and where he says, by my name Shaddai. Well, what does that mean, Shaddai? People say, well, it means the all-powerful. It means Shah, as in to call or to name something, and Dai means enough, stop. So he said, they knew me by the one that has completed or has done things. It was an experiential relationship with these three different men. He said, but by my name, Yod He Wad He, In the English, I am that I am, which is almost improperly pronounced, translated. It should be more like I am that will be. And he says, so they did not know me by that name. And now, in the Hebrew, most, if not all, words start with a three-letter word, and they grow from there, and they're called root words. So what we have is that we have somebody by the name of Moses, right? That's pronounced Moshe. And it's written from right to left. And then we have it's going to be difficult to lay this out without you having a whole lot of Hebrew knowledge, but let's just go from here and see where we could go. So what you have is the word name in our English would be from the Hebrew, means Shem, right? To Shem something is to name something. So in reverence to the Most High, creator of all things, the word used to describe him, another word to describe the creator of all things, is Hashem, the name. He's got over 72 different names. And here he introduces himself as, I used to be known by this name, and now I'm going to introduce myself to you by another name. So the word Moshe, Moses in English, the pronunciation in Hebrew is Moshe, and the word Hashem, the name, are the three same letters. They're just backwards to each other. This is a little bit of a description. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see right there, MSH and SHM, Moshe and Hashem. And I want to go deep into that little piece. But first of all, I want to mention that whether that happened or not, that's not I'm not trying to argue that. What I am getting at is that when Moses looked into the bush that was on fire but not being burned by the fire, what peered back at him was a mirror image of himself. Conversation goes like this. Moses says, you know what? I simply cannot do this that you're calling me. You know why? Because I'm a man of hard language, and I don't want to, I'm going to just tell him to kiss off. Not only that, but Moses really says to this divine thing that's speaking to him, right? Because he's obviously hearing a voice and he's seeing a burning bush. He says, who are you? Who are you that I should go for you and take care of this business? What proof will you give me that you're going to be with me? Since you're talking to me, why are you picking me in the first place? Moses is reasoning, and he's saying, look, man, I don't got no business in Egypt. I left that behind. So why are you asking me to go? So he gives him some proofs. He said, go do these couple different things. Take that rod that you have in your hand, throw it on the floor, put your hand inside your bosom, and bring it out, and it becomes cancerous. Put it back in, and it gets healed. The rod, the walking stick becomes a snake, and he says, grab it by the tail. So he grabs it by the tail. Whoop! It goes back into a stick. He gives him a couple different things. He says, so that's proof to you that I'm giving you mastery over certain situations, and that's why I want you to go. I said, okay. Think of the way Moses is thinking about this. Like, all right, gotcha. So in the worst case scenario, and if they don't believe me, what then? What do I tell them? Oh, you tell them that the Father, that the God that had relationship with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the one that's sending you. He goes, okay. So worst case scenario, what happens if Pharaoh doesn't want to let him go? He goes, yeah, you know what? That's a good question, because that's not going to happen. I mean, that is going to happen, but I'm going to work it out. I'm working this deal out on your behalf. So I got your back. Long entailed discussion. We're only reading three verses that say, make reference to this, and I paraphrase it and put some embellishment into that conversation. But you can read it for yourself. You'll see that that's exactly the discussion. Moses saying, "Why should I go? And who am I to do this speak?" Moses was a rough man. He had committed a crime in Egypt. He got upset because he saw two guys arguing. One was Egyptian, one was a Hebrew, and he took the Egyptian and killed him. So Moses had a temper, and he didn't feel that he was in any way capable of doing the task that he was, because he's like, I'm not gonna deal with these people the right way. I'm gonna tell them to kiss off. I'm gonna tell them to shut the hell up, and I'm gonna beat them. So no, I don't want this job. That's what he was saying. And God says, no, I picked you for a reason, man. I got you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to teach you something that you don't know about yourself. And this is how this applies to you and to me. When you're stuck in a position where you think you can't do it because of all your past mistakes, that's when you're at the end of your personal rope. And, you think that the road that's ahead of you is like pushing a rope. Ever tried pushing a rope? Very difficult to do. They don't push well. You can pull them, but they don't push well. So there's a situation. Moses and Hashem, right? I'm saying that they're a mirror of each other, because the call to Abraham was, go into yourself for yourself, and there you will find me. And this is a similar call to Moses being done by Hashem. Now, let's break that down a little bit further. So Moses go through a process of understanding that they didn't know me by the way I'm going to reveal myself, and I'm going to give you a contract, and I'm going to give you something that's written, and you will be able to understand me in a deeper way. They had to live out life throughout their years to reach a level of understanding. I'm going to give you an understanding, and then I'm going to speak to you in your ear. You will speak it into the ears of your brother and others, and eventually it'll be written down. And all of this information is so that you can know me, not only as a God that says enough and stops creation and puts borders on creation, but the God that you can go into a deeper personal relationship. And that's why I'm saying in that moment, Moses was looking at himself, because he needed to go deeper understanding of his greater life. Moses was already an old man at this point. He wasn't a young chicken, young spring chicken, however they say that, but he was a mature man that was trying to perhaps live his retirement, his time with his wife and out in the desert, and forgetting all the hustle and bustle of the city. And so he got pulled in, just kind of like the Godfather. I thought I was out, but they pulled me back in, right? That's what Moses was saying. Oh, crap, I got to do this. I don't want to go over there. I don't want to deal with this stuff. What if they put me in jail and other craziness? So that's where they're at. Now, he says to him, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and by the name of El Shaddai, and they did not know me by my name, Yod-Heh-Wad-Heh, sometimes, translated into the English as Yahweh. No arguments here about how to pronounce the name. That I don't want to get into that. So now, however, I set up my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, to the land which they sojourned. All right. And in the Hebrew, the word covenant, the contract, is here pronounced briti. So what's important about this is that it is brought out twice by the author of the contract. This is important to know, because now we're getting into the legalities. So, moreover, I myself have hardened the heart. No, I have heard the cries and the moans of Israel, the people, right? Um, who the Egyptians have made servants or enslaved, and I am mindful of my covenant. Again, the same word is used a second time, and it's briti. Um, Now, wherefore say to the sons of Israel, I am that I will be. Hence, and I will bring you out of the burdens and the constraints that you are experiencing in Egypt. But it's going to be through a series of pandemics. I'm going to hit you with 10 different um, uh, national issues, and then I will bring them out. So I will redeem you with an outstretched arm is the language being used. Okay. And so here the word redeem um, is how do I say this? It, while it's important, it's not as important as the language of details. He's giving them, in this contract, I'm gonna do these things, and this is how it's gonna happen. It's gonna take some time. It'll be, by the way, we're talking about, this didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen once a week. And there was 10 plagues. Those plagues, if you will, the 10 plagues lasted approximately 15 years. They had already been in Egypt for little under 200 years prior to this encounter. So now I will have to, I will take to, let's see, I will take you to me as people, and you will become my people, and I will be your God. Just give me a quick little second and see what's going on. Um, okay, so right, he says, you know what? I'm going to I'm going to bring you into a personal relationship with me, and then I will be your Elohim. I will be your God, and you will be my people. This is the whole purpose of this covenant, this new, if you will, new covenant. Uh, so the word briti is my covenant, it belongs to somebody else, but it's not as possessive as when he uses the word Brito. For I have given you the power to be successful in for the purposes of my covenant. And that word, and we'll see that in a couple of books later, in the book of Deuteronomy, it's used Brito. That's a possessive first person. Briti is possessive, but it's not first person. So it's less close to the speaker's heart, if you will. He's saying, in the sense of, I am the possessor, I am the one holding all the cards, it's all mine. And that's why I have the right to go and tell the Canaanites, all those merchants tribes, get out. I'm going to give this to other people because you didn't fulfill your contract. Okay, so he's explaining all the steps of the contract before he puts the contract into effect. And by the way, there's some struggles with this contract. What's the struggle? Is that you're going to have to deal with going and dealing with this guy Pharaoh several times, and it's going to take 15 years. It's not going to happen, just because I said so, just because I said I got your back. No, it entails work. You can't just sit back, even though he says, I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. It's not that, the one doing the speaking is saying, I got it all covered, I'm going to do all for you. No, you're going to have to do things. And here's the process of understanding why this is important, because the narrative of most religions that want to attach themselves to the Abrahamic covenant, they have a tendency to say, God's gonna do it all. He'll take care of it. Big Daddy's gonna do everything for us. And I disagree. I think that what Big Daddy is saying, look, man, It's time for you to grow up. It's time for you to be acting like a son. Take responsibility for your actions. Take responsibility for the things that you want, and put things into action. And then I will help you. I will guide you. But I'm not going to give it to you for free. I didn't put in all the work and create this wealth so that I can just hand it over to you as my son and my children, and then you will have no value to the purpose that I created all these things and I struggled with it. Does that make sense? Right? If I was a father telling you, I would be saying, no, man, I'm not just gonna give it to you because you're gonna abuse it. You're gonna misuse it. So it has to cost you something. So there it is. The speaker of the covenant, Elohim, is telling Moses, who is going to be his ambassador, his representative, to deliver the contract to the people. And then he's saying, you got to come out of Egypt where you're not comfortable, and then you're going to come and you're going to have to deal with having to do you have to do what's the word I'm looking for? You got to go through the legal aspects of claiming the land and doing all the other things in order for it to be yours. But it will be yours. You just got to put in the work. And the same holds true for you, Moses. All right. So in the Hebrew, it's hitting that the language word that I said, Briti versus Brito. He's still saying it is mine, but I'm not claiming a full responsibility to do the work. That's why it's Briti. He's saying, yes, it's mine in the sense that I possess it, but I'm giving it. I'm making an agreement with you, and it has to be executed by you. It is a better way. I own it. You have to execute it if you want to have the benefits of this contract. Okay. So then Pharaoh, he said, Pharaoh's heart is going to be hardened. Well, that's part of the process. So it could be said that Pharaoh is like our neck, right? And you have good ideas, but your body is not in good shape to do the ideas that you have. So think of it in that sense. You have to do some work to get your body into shape so that you can fulfill the ideas that you have in your mind. It's a basal analogy, but it applies everything in all parts of life. All right, so now I'm pretty much done with the portion that I wanted to share with you guys. And again, I wanted to cover the aspects of how important the language that is in the Hebrew is clearer than the one that's in the English, because in the English, you really can't see or understand that this is a contractual language, right? And so most of the narratives is like, oh, I'm going to harden the heart of Pharaoh, and you're going to go there, but you're going to be free, and everything's going to be good because you're going to get the lotto ticket, and so people miss out on the deeper parts, and so with that being said, then it jumps into describing all the sons of Israel, which is how the book of Exodus began, which is called Shemot, and which means names, or is that word Shem again, right? And so it seems like it repeats itself, but it's not repeating itself because it's a contract. The people, the beneficiaries of the contract, have to be spelled out, and that's why each one of the sons of Israel have to be spelled in the contract. I hope that makes sense. That's key. So the next verse, 14, it starts enumerating each one of the people involved in that particular contract. All the sons of Israel that have been living there for a long time, and it also mentions those who have to yield to the power of the contract. And that's two different individuals, two different companies, if you will. The company of Pharaoh, all of Egypt, they have to give up some properties. They have to give up some interest in the contract for it to be a proper contract as fulfilled by that conversation between Moshe and Hashem. And the people, it looks like my light is about to die. I'm going to turn another light on. I don't know what's going on there. So hopefully that's a little better. Okay, so technical problems, huh? All right. So then what happens is that all the people of Israel are mentioned, and you know who else? The people that had prior interest in the land, which were the Canaanites, their contract is no longer, is a void contract. And so that's why they're also mentioned in those verses 14, 15, and 16. Let's see, all the way 17, 19, 20, 21, 23, 25, 26, 27. Okay. So when people read it in the English, they're like, oh, these names, it is kind of boring. The son of son, the son of son, the son of son. It's important to understand that this was a contract, that all these people were legally needed to be mentioned in the contract in order for it to be spelled out. So with that being said, and leave a comment below. Tell me if you like it, if it was clear enough, if you learned something, or if you didn't like it, you can put that under too. Just do it in a way without, being disrespectful to each other. I would love to hear what you think of it. Also, I just want to say that this piece is nestled in between, a portion that we have been reading from known in the English from the book of Genesis all the way to here. This is the second portion of the book of Exodus, the beginning here, right? And so we're going to talk some more. Last week was about the names and how that relates. That was a very good one. If you want to know, give me a comment. I'll give you the link as well to that particular one. Anyways, leave me a comment below. Tell me what you think of it, and let's see if we can enter a little bit more in discussion. I hope this was of benefit to you. The reason why I did this is because people have been asking me for many years that I should just start sharing my perspective on the book of Torah and so some people know it as the Old Testament. So I finally got around to it, and I'm sharing my knowledge. I hope it's that's why I'm saying leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think, what you like, or if you want to see anything different about it. There's a whole lot more that was left on the table, but we can't possibly cover it all. It's just that it would take probably about 3 hours. I'm giving you just a little touch. All right. Take care. See you around.